My name is Connie Cordovilla. I'm president of the Friends of Pimmitt Barn. Pimmitt Barn was built in 1937. It was built by a man by the name of Lyle Smith on land that he bought from the widow of John S. McGarity.
Are you just going to follow me around all night, sweetheart?
My role is to work with our volunteers to get the barn park set up, to hopefully get a historic marker, and eventually to get the barn opened as a museum on the first floor to what farming and agriculture went to in this area of Virginia. So the barn has been through several different phases in its life. Its first phase, of course, was as a very modern dairy barn built by Mr. Smith, and then it was when the developers started moving through the hills to build on this side of the hills, it became the construction holding site for O&C Construction that built the hills. At the end of that, they gave it to the Fairfax County Water Authority for a water station, and in 1997, the Fairfax County Water Authority transferred it to the Fairfax County Park Authority. I discovered it through going to a Permanent Hills Citizens Association meeting where Leslie Stone stood up and said, they want to tear the barn down. I don't think that's what we should do with something that's the last barn, possibly inside the Beltway, and possibly maybe in a lot of northern Virginia that's made of this kind of construction with cinder block and the tin roof. They could build a home for people anywhere, but you can't just rebuild a barn that's got historic significance. And what happened was we eventually created a resolution that the Pimmitt Hills Citizens Association adopted, stating their resistance to tearing down the barn and their support for the sentiment of the neighborhood to have a barn as a historic site and as a park. The barn is a benefit to our community. It's a benefit because the community needs a place to be able to come together outdoors. It needs a place where it can come to meet its neighbors that's green space, because we don't have enough parks and green space in our area. And we do Halloween events, we do movie nights. I'm absolutely overwhelmed that I was nominated for this. The saying that it takes a village or a community is so true. It is not just me, I'm only the figurehead. We are a community. We have ideas, we're diverse, but we come together for mutually beneficial things. We come together in the Citizens Association, and we come together in the park to have fun and to agree on what our community wants to do.
1998, a community group calling themselves the Friends of Tomato approached the Fairfax County Park Authority to sponsor a farmer's market in Reston. And so it began. 22 years later, we've grown from 12 vendors to 30 vendors. And plus we have a supplemental nutrition assistance program, we have greeners, we have Fairfax County master gardeners, we have nonprofits, we have musicians, etc.
We shop at all of our vendors' booths. We love our vendors. They have been with us, many of them, for many years. Some since the beginning, like Potomac Vegetable. We configure the market. We make sure it starts on time. We ring our Inca bell.
The market is open!
All right, thank you. Have a nice weekend.
Right now we're working with Clean Fairfax, and they have a grant where we get to hand out these reusable and washable produce bags. 100 plus bags we hand out every single Saturday. This is a nice community to have a farmer's market in. We have a very active senior program going on. We also have a chef at market from the Tall Oaks Assisted Living, and they bus seniors in to shop at the market, and they come once a month and use produce from the market to show people how to use our produce. And that's a great program because the fact is Reston is aging. It's a lot of elderly people here.
What a great example.
Don't get that.
I was pointing to me.
About 8 or 9 years ago, when I started thinking about post-retirement activities, I knew I wanted to get involved in a lot of volunteer work. This seemed to be a natural place to focus. And recognizing how hard Fran and John had worked to first establish the market, nurture and build it over the years, this just seemed to be a logical place to volunteer.
If you ask a vendor, why do you come here? They'll say because people not only come and argue with us about prices, but they want to know how we grow it, and they ask us about our farms. It's that kind of relationship. It's the best volunteer job a person could have, in my opinion.
We also do this because this is our neighborhood. This has become so much a part of our lives. We know a lot of the people that shop here. And we certainly now know the vendors, and this is a fun Saturday. It's like a bazaar.
It's the top award of the Park Authority. You always feel good to be recognized for something you do. But I gotta say, what's not to love about this job? Been doing it for 22 years. I wouldn't be a volunteer for 22 years unless I absolutely loved it. I love it, I appreciate the honor, but I still do it even without the award.
My name is Shauna Shapiro. I'm a docent at Sully Historic Site. I've been here for 17 years, and there isn't much I haven't done. I work special events, I teach in the school program, and I do tours for whoever happens to come and want a tour.
All right, come into the parlor.
We do tours of the house every day of the week except for Tuesday, and they include the first, second, and third floors of the house. And so we do the front hall, we talk about the Georgian architecture, we do the dining room and the parlor. I really like the kitchen because we take them out there, and that's a really good compare and contrast. You know, well, you have a refrigerator, what do they have? You know, obviously they don't have one, but the fun thing is where's their stove? And in this 18th century, they didn't have a stove, but they brought hot coals out and they actually cooked on the floor. Well, at the slave quarter, we do a really good compare and contrast for the people that made the Leaves' lives possible. What did they have? Even though they contributed to the Leaves living in comparative luxury, you know, they didn't have the fine china, they didn't have glass in their windows. They had one room that they had to sleep and eat and cook in. 10 people lived in that one room, you know, which is very different than the Leaves that had a huge house. The thing I think is really interesting about Sully is that a lot of places you go are about the people, the person that lived there, the historical figure. If you go to Monticello, you're going to hear about Thomas Jefferson. If you go to Montpelier, you're going to hear about James Madison. The really nice thing about Sully is that it gives you just a picture of what life was like for a family in the late 1700s, early 1800s in Virginia. We do talk about Richard Blandly and his significance, but mostly it's just, oh, this is what their lives would have been like, and this is what they would have done, and that's something you don't get a lot of places. I'm honored to receive this award because I have spent a lot of time at Sully, and I've enjoyed every minute of it. But I think the important thing is if it brings attention to the site and makes people more aware that Sully exists, that's a great thing. If it gets publicized as being, you know, part of the Park Authority, that's great. We hope more people will come and see us.